Hi, my name's Kris McInnes and I'm a psychic medium from Brisbane, Australia. And tonight I'd like to share another true story about the Vengeful Spirit. Now this story starts when I was about 27 years old. My wife and I were still renting a home in southeast Queensland. And my wife approached me and told me some fantastic news that she was pregnant for the first time, which was great. And so we decided to buy our first home just so our child had their own home to grow up in. So after felt like a million different houses that we looked at to buy, they all seemed to be not quite right or too expensive and things like that. But we finally found one which was about 15 to 20 minutes away from where we're renting, and it was suited us down to a T. So when we first moved in, we didn't notice anything at all. In fact, actually, I was the first one to notice things around the place. But this is just before my daughter was born, and I was night shift working at the Rockley markets, which is a big fruit and vegetable market that would get big orders ready for all the big shopping centres, supermarkets and vegetable stores, fruit and veg stores, things like that. So, like I said, didn't notice anything at first, but I was night shift working at this job, and so it meant I would be getting up at all different times of night or early morning to get ready for work. And when I'd get up, I'd start getting myself ready for work and all that. And this house originally had no curtains or anything, blinds at the back of the house. So I just started to feel this really unsettling feeling that I was being watched while I was getting ready for work, to the point that I just wouldn't look at the windows. I'd try to do things quick as possible to get ready to go. And but it just got worse and worse and worse. And I was originally thinking, oh, it's just my head. There's nothing here. It's fine. But I was wrong. It just got stronger and stronger and stronger in this place. Got to the point that my wife and I were noticing things outside the house. It was never inside, just outside the house. Like I'd go outside and in the corner of the backyard or under the tree and things like that, I just see this outline of somebody standing there staring at me. And over time he got closer and closer and closer, and it was scaring the bejesus out of me. This guy had cuts all over his face and things like that, and he'd be abuse you and swear at you, and you couldn't reason with him. He's like, to be honest, like an ice addict or something, where they're just brains kind of fried, you know. And my wife experienced the exact same thing with this guy. So, but then it just got worse and worse, into the point that I built a 6x4 shed out the back of my house, and before we had power out there, and I'm still building this shed, I was keen to get it up. So there have been a few times that I've been out there like just after dinner in the dark, and I thought just to do anything I can to finish it quietly that wouldn't disturb the neighbours too much. And I remember one night at least I brought my daughter's bedside lamp into the shed with like 2 or 3 different extension leads plugged in to get the light out there. And I was in there one night, and then I heard this weird like yell, scream, growl type of noise, which I can't explain. It's like in the corner. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I got the lamp and I'm looking over in the corner. The shed's empty, obviously, because I'm building it. And I'm like, there's nothing in here. And it really sounded like it was in the shed. I'm like, unless there's an animal outside or something, but it really felt like something in there. And then while all that was happening, it happened a couple of times like that, and then the lamp would start to flicker on and off, getting duller and duller, and then bright, 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 dull, dull, bright, bright, bright. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 don't you friggin' die on me. Like, the friggin' I didn't want to be left alone in the dark with it. So anyway, I ended up taking the lamp and the extension leads back into the house, just to check every one by one, to make sure there's no fault with them. Down to even the lamp, I was there wiggling the cable, power cable in the bottom of it to see if it makes the light go funny, or bashing the side. No, no, no. Everything was perfect. But I'd take it back out to the shed, and then it started go funny on me again. I'm like, oh, bloody hell. But then it just started to get worse and worse, and then started coming into the house, and you'd go to brush your teeth or something, and you'd be in the hallway and staring at you, and then as soon as you saw him, you'd vanish and be gone again and all of that. And then, while all this is happening, to be honest, I don't know where we got this information from, if it was off like the internet or newspaper or somebody told us. I honestly don't remember, but I do remember hearing this story. There was it apparently happened on my street, where this guy went and complained about a party that had this loud music playing that was way too loud, he thought. So he went around there and tried to speak to him about it. But if it's the guy that we were experiencing in the home, well, yeah, it wouldn't have come off too well, swearing and going off his nut. But anyway, so he's had a go at these people having a party, and then he started walking back home. And apparently this guy was near his house or whatever, down our street, a few doors down from us. And a few of these blokes, or 4 blokes, I'm not sure how many now are involved, but some of these blokes came from the party with shovels and bats and whatever. And I even heard there was like a picket fence paling involved as well, and they just beat the crap out of this guy. And I heard that somebody found him the next day dead against the electricity post with a paling, the picket fence paling, through his stomach or something. If that's right or wrong, I don't know, but that's what I heard. And so we're hearing all this, and all this happened apparently about 3 years before we moved into the house. So obviously we're experiencing all of this stuff in our house, and we started thinking, I wonder if this is connected, you know? Like, it started outside, we're having these weird feelings and all of that, and we're like, I don't know. But then it just intensified, got worse and worse and worse, and to the point that I decided, look, I gotta do something about this, because there was one night, it was attacking me, it was attacking my wife, but then it started attacking our daughter, which was only like a baby toddler by this stage. And I was like, she was experiencing this same thing, and I'm like, no, enough's enough, I'm not having this. Like, to be honest, my track history at that stage down as a kid, I was fantastic at putting the sheet over my head and sweating the sheets out, going, just trying to sleep through it with everything going on around me of spirit. But when you attack my child, that's another freaking kettle of fish, you know. I was pissed off. So I contacted a local spiritual church, and found out they were doing weekly what do you call them, psychic development classes, closed circles and that, for spiritual teachings and that. So I started going to them. I probably went to that one there for almost 12 months now, roughly at that stage. So, but roughly when I was about 4 or 5 weeks in at this spiritual church, like before that, a couple of people did mention to me they saw something dark and heavy, kind of shadows around me and all that, and I was like, I don't know, not thinking about it back home. But there was, yeah, like I said, 4 or 5 lessons in, we're all in a circle, and we're all doing these like meditation thing. And after the meditation is finished, everybody in the group, they go around the circle and just ask, oh, so what was your experience in it? And what was your experience? What happened? What did you see? And one of these ladies said, oh, I saw this man, he was really angry and he was swearing and all that. And he was over at that lady's guide over there, spiritual guide, and arguing with him. And then someone else goes, yeah, I actually saw that too. And I'm like, oh, sounds like freaking spirit from my house. And I put my hand up and I said, I'm really sorry. It sounds like the spirits at my house is hassling my family and I now. And so I explained the whole story to them and things like that. And so a few of them gave me some advice how to deal with it, move it on, and things like that. And so that week I got the guts to try to approach this thing and have it out with it once and for all. So back then, obviously I was a novice. I'd never moved on spirit at that stage. That was my very first one. So I got, as you call it, white sage, and I said whatever my chant was, and I'm going through the whole house, picturing the gold and white light around and trying to move this entity on. And I waited till my wife got home so she could take my daughter down the street for like an hour or do whatever while I did this. I didn't want my daughter in the house while this was happening. And it's going, I'm doing this thing around the whole entire house, just scared out of my wits because I've never done this before, and I'm stuck in this house with this entity I'm trying to get rid of with the sage. And I'm going around saying this thing, and I do, like, back then I even knew they try to get in your way when you're trying to remove them and things like that. They'll try to make you stuff up on your words or try to scare you in some way so you'll go type of thing and just lose track of what you're trying to do for a second, and then makes it harder on you. And I'm going around the house doing this thing continuously. And I got to my daughter's room, and by this time she was a bit older. My daughter's a bit older, and she had a bunk bed. And I'm doing this thing, and I'm looking at the cupboards, and I'm freaking getting the sage out, and I'm doing this, and then I've turned around as I'm saying whatever I was saying, and I've looked underneath the bunk bed, and obviously this must have been just a scare tactic. Tried to scare me off what I was trying to do. It was just trying to throw all the movie images into one scene, I swear this freaking prick was doing. And he was on his knees just looking up at me with his mouth and going, and I'm like, oh God. And I was like, no. Started doing my thing again, trying to get rid of it and all that. And I just think I was just trying to think of anything just to put me off what I was doing and scare me. And at the end I was like, I hope that worked. I don't really know, but I can't see him or feel him around the house right now. But then realised, no, it didn't work. And I went back to the spiritual church after that the next week, and then they asked me how it went, and I said, no, it didn't work. I thought it did, but it didn't. And it's all happening still. It's just going on. So then I think it was the next day, the minister of the church actually called me and said, oh, I heard you're having problems with a spirit in your home and all of that. And what she was telling me is her sister in the UK, she does entity removals and things like that. So she said, would you like me or mind me passing on your contact details to her, and she might be able to give you a call, and she might be able to figure something out with you to help you. I said, that'd be great. I need help. I can't have this thing in the house with my daughter and my wife and all of that. So yeah, this lady ended up ringing me, and via the phone, that's how she moved the entity on, which I was at that stage blown away with. It's incredible. And she just asked me to put her on speakerphone so she could speak to the spirit within the house, but she wanted me to help her out. I don't know if it was because I'm trying to learn how to do it, or she just felt like I should be a part of this. I don't know, but she got me to be a part of it, and I was her eyes to what was happening in the home. And she kept on asking me, what are you seeing now, and things like that. And down the hallway, I remember seeing, like, I couldn't see him coming through the hallway, but it was just like foggy, misty type of look I felt, what I could see, and I could just feel him coming down the hallway. And then when he went, I presume he went past a coat rack or something, things started moving around on the wall a bit on it. And she's still asking me what I'm seeing, and she's saying whatever she's saying, the spiritual stuff, obviously, to move entity on and all that. And once it kind of reached the lounge room properly, it kind of just faded away. And like the house felt quite dark at this stage. And then it just, when it had the feeling he was gone, it just got I swear, even the lights lit up, like it was just odd. And so she said, well, I can't see him, but I didn't actually see him cross over too. I said, I'm not sure if he's just gone to the side where we can't see him, but she just says, just don't try. I know it's hard, but try not to think about him, because if you think about these things too much when you've just moved an entity on, sometimes they can find their way back into your home if you overthink them. And I'm like, yep, okay, I understand that and everything. And I actually tell people that now, as I do entity removals myself now. But, and so I know how difficult it is not to think about something like that that's been traumatizing you for years or whatever. But, so I tried my best not to think about it. And, but no, I never saw him in the house again. I never saw him on our property again, but she was definitely right. He didn't go too far at all, because on our back fence backed onto bushland at that stage. It's all housing development now, or halfway through doing them. But anytime I'd jump over the back fence to go and get some firewood, I'd feel him there. I'd see him. He'd be right in my face, off at me again and all that. But as soon as I'd jump back over, I'd stand on this little star picket to jump over the tin fence, and then I'd just be, feeling would be gone again. It was just incredible feeling. But when they were first building over there in the back, where the bushland was, I did see him once standing on the new bitumen road out there, a little bit of a distance, but then he just vanished. So, because I always wondered, is he going to be around when these poor buggers buy these homes, and is he going to wreak havoc on them? But to be honest, I don't think he's even over there now, which is fantastic for them. Yeah, it's just not cool. But sorry, backtracking a bit to the story of when I was at the spiritual church with this guy, causing crap there. One of the spiritualists there actually told me why he's coming so close to me and my family is, apparently he felt like I was a splitting image of one of the guys that actually got away with his murder. And they said, it's funny enough, he said, thinks I'm the one that got away, one guy that got away with his murder. But this guy happened to live in my house. So this guy's been probably on the street, pissed off as a spirit, freaking been murdered, all of that, blah, blah, blah. But then suddenly he sees me in this house, and he thinks it's me. Or thinks it's this other guy that killed him. And so that's why he's getting closer and closer and closer and freaking trying to scare the crap out of me, because their son, was a splitting image of me. And funny enough, I'm actually in his old bedroom right now, in the back room. But, and so that's why he's so pissed off and really attacking our family, because he thought I got away with it. But then, I don't know, but in the end, obviously, everything vanished and everything's fine and no dramas at all. But we ended up having a few drinks at one of the neighbours' house. And after all this happened, he was here for a fair few years though too, like driving us crazy. Probably about 6 years or something, I'm guessing. But well, anyway, when I was at the neighbour's house having a few drinks, I obviously had a few too many, and I ended up coming out of the woodwork about what was happening around the house. And while all this, I told him exactly what was happening, what I was experiencing. Normally I wouldn't tell anybody back then that I see spirit, let alone being attacked by this thing. And I said, a psychic actually told me, I'm telling the neighbour, going, a psychic actually told me I look like one of the guys that kind of look like they got away with murder that used to live in our house. And I said, do you know anything about that? Do I happen to look like this guy or anything like that? And the husband and wife kind of looked at each other a little bit and goes, yeah, you do. You look a lot like their son. And yeah, so I thought that was a bit like more evidence on what was happening around us at that point in time. Like this guy turning around and going, well, yeah, you do. Because they knew him in the living side, this guy. And obviously we only dealt with him in the spiritual part of it, what we've been told by spirit and that. So yeah, we thought it was quite interesting. Like my neighbour even kind of knew this guy that was murdered, and he said, yeah, he was actually a drug dealer, and he was on a lot of drugs and that, and yeah, he did swear a lot. He was an angry type of guy and everything. So it's just a lot of confirmation in that. But yeah, that's just another story anyway. So to add to my list. So if you did like my story, please don't forget to like my video and subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. And see you next week. Have a great night. Bye.